You're listening to the ASOTU CON Sessions by Effectv, recorded live in Philly. All right, we have a special edition of ASOTU CON Sessions by Effectv. This is an ad hoc episode with the one and only Darren, Doane, and somebody who I think doesn't get enough credibility, my EA and main admin for ASOTU, Danielle Southwick. She's got two name badges on. One is Paul J Dayl, and one is Danielle Southwick.
This is D&D. This is the D&D episode.
D&D.
It's the Darren and Danielle show. Okay, so it's the Darren and Danielle
Triple D,
show.
we throw in Daly.
Let's go.
Here we go.
Okay, so we're at ASOTU Con. The three of us plot and plan a lot of trouble together. Do we feel like we're making enough trouble here?
Ladies first.
I don't feel like we make enough trouble any day.
Okay.
I think there's always more room for trouble.
See, I knew there's a reason that you've been able to put up with me for so long. She's like, but did we really make enough trouble? Okay.
But it's the good kind of trouble. Like, all I've been hearing all day long from everybody is like, this is amazing. I can't believe that we get to be here. This is so good. It's wild to see 4 months of planning materialize.
Yeah, we say it like it's like 4 years. We're like 4 months, like 120 days ago. Like there was no venue, there were no sponsors, there was no agenda.
I'm sitting back watching culture develop. Really mean that. Like I'm literally sitting back or sitting up there and I'm watching, and it would be easy to think like, oh, this is a thing that's been going on for X amount of years.
Oh, and they just got together again.
Yeah, that's what they do, right? But right down to how you all even speak to the attendees as far as the being intentional. Right down to, I saw Kyle like, hey, so when this speaker's done talking, don't ask a dumb question that sounds like this. And he actually like said, don't say this. Have a thoughtful question that sounds like this. And then like,
wow,
we're here to get work done. I don't want to hear about your store or your place for 10 minutes and then you throw a question that has nothing to do with what the speaker's So culture, that's culture development, right? You're saying this is how we talk, this is how we speak.
Right, you're teaching people, like Southwest taught people, actually this is how you board a plane. Right? They didn't say like, oh, well, obviously everybody knows. You're like, no. When you're here, you do it this way. I guess that's every culture does that, right?
Well, but that's my point. And so you guys are carving out a subset, which may something I want to talk about tomorrow. We'll see. I've been thinking a lot about what can I bring to this group, because being here
we got our session tomorrow. Yeah. I
really think like, you've got some heavy hitters here that are going to give some pretty great, I think, principled talks, right? I mean, you got Meltzer here. He's going to give you, it's going to all with the letter P, and it's going to get your life together, and you're going to know how to do it, and you're going to call your mom 3 times a day, and it's going to be great, and you're going to get your whole life aligned, and it's awesome,
we will all
right?
aspire to that when
and
he
we will,
finishes, right?
Exactly.
Like,
I'm calling my mom right now. But I'm thinking, what can I bring? And now that I'm seeing that you guys truly are creating culture, I've always had this little thing that I've never given a talk on, but I've always believed the world goes from tribe to nations to empires. And understanding that, when I was sort of working through this idea, I remember I was talking to someone about this, hey, tribe, nation, empire, and I was and actually it was Bob Hurley who had said,
as in the founder of Hurley.
And he said, you've been talking about this tribe, nation, empire thing. He goes, and he sent me the cover of a magazine, and it said, the Nike running tribes have arrived. At some point, like 6-7 years ago, no, probably longer, 10 years ago, running groups, remember running groups started?
Yes.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Right? There was this tribal, and he goes, that sounds like that tribe thing that you're talking about, And so I put this kind of whole thing together, and I'm seeing you guys do that, meaning that what you're doing is you're taking the tribes, which I think I'll be able to flesh out more tomorrow, but you're taking the tribes and you're saying, listen, we're going to all get together, form a little nation.
Wow.
Okay?
Oh, that is something.
And it's so funny when I think about this. I've never given the talk, but when I talk to people about it, the first thing I say is, you're moving into a nation when you get your colors, when you have a flag. Like soccer. And here you guys are
soccer scarves
with the soccer scarves, right? Colors, right? Fonts, all those things. When you think of, English soccer, right? That's tribe. It's tribal that moves into national, right?
Now you're talking about that. It's giving me some context. Todd Caputo, a dealer and a friend of ASOTU for a long time, he said to me, he pulled me aside and he was like, "Event's going great, having a good time." He said, "Hey, there are a lot of people here." He's like, "I've been listening, because you have your people, right? And they're listening and part of a conversation." He goes, "I've heard a lot of people be like, who is this Paul character? Like, who's this guy?"
Right.
And he's like, "They don't know who you are."
Right.
He's like, they're intrigued, right? Like, what is he doing?
Right.
Why is
he here?
Right. Why is he here? And that indicates to me that we've now invited successfully a different tribe
Yes.
into what we're doing.
Right.
So that is like kind of indicative of like, oh, we have some outsiders who are kind of together and thinking the same things. And now we have our OG tribe.
Right.
And as we bring in this other tribe, now we have two tribes, right? And you said tribes make nations.
Well, and then you have empires. And the way you define an empire is who could shut you down or whatever it is you do overnight. Those are the empires. So that's where it gets interesting, right? So when I was working at Hurley, it all kind of came together for me because the individual surfers were the tribes, but those tribes really fleshed themselves out in surf shops, surf stores. It's tribal. Santa Cruz.
This is my right. Oh,
South
where do you
Carolina.
go? It's like jujitsu, right?
Yeah,
Who do you
right.
studying this guy, that guy?
And so Hurley was a nation but the nation lives off of serving the tribes.
Right, because back in the day, like the nation really runs risk of being the man.
Well, a nation has an army. A nation has a military. Okay, tribes don't. That's why tribes have to be very careful in what they do.
Right, it's like defensive only.
Right. Now, tribes make pacts all the time with nations. That's how you survive. And so the local surf shops had their relationships with Hurley and Billabong and all that. So you're trading all the time. But this is where I think it gets interesting. Nations look to the tribes, and they better speak a certain way to the tribes. This is where I think all messaging gets messed up. You have to know who you're speaking to and where you're at on that. Are you a tribe, nation, or empire? Because if you're a nation, you speak a certain way to the tribal people, but you speak a totally different way to the empire. You suit up to go talk to the empire because you either have an alliance with the empire or at some point you will be folded in. Nike bought Hurley. The empire bought
the nation.
The nation rolled it in, but like Rome said, but you just keep doing your thing.
Yeah.
But we'll supply you with whatever military funding that you need to do whatever you got to do. So if you think in those terms, and by the way, every empire crumbles eventually. And then you start over and you go to tribes. America is crumbling right now. We were an empire. Tribal to a nation to an empire, we're crumbling. And when we think about all the things we talk about now with right and left and echo chambers, those are just tribes. Just tribes now forming because something is collapsing. But in business, you have to know where you're at on the tribe, nation, empire. And it really works in auto because in auto, you think about it, you're dealing with tribal people who walk in every day, who have a national allegiance to that dealer, but that national dealer is only existing because of an empire. Now that empire could be financing from a bank, or it could be the empire, multiple empires in regards to where you're getting your actual inventory.
Yeah, the OEM, right?
So the problem becomes, and this is what I call the Scarface problem, it's when you're tribal and you start making money and you think you run the world. You think you're an empire. We're an empire. We're taking over. Tribes cannot take over an empire. Whenever the empire wants to come in, little local drug dealers who amass a couple $1 million and some nice cars.
Like I run this town.
I run this town. Oh, really?
Watch this.
And you're gone overnight because they have the firepower. They've got whatever. That's where in life we get into trouble, is we think we're bigger than we are. Not just because we're bigger than our britches, we're tribe, nation, empire. Where are you? And I've never seen it work so well now that I've gotten here thinking, man, this is something that really fits with the auto industry. I've never seen a more perfect model of tribe,
Wow.
nation, empire. And I don't have an application. One thing I wanted to make sure when I came here, I didn't want to come with an application. A lot of speakers have an application.
Like application, be prescriptive.
Yeah. Now go and do this. I thought maybe I could just bring something that would maybe just get people thinking, and somehow maybe that will do something. I have no idea. But I know tribe, nation, empire in my own life has kind of has helped ground me a little bit, because, and you guys know me, I mean, I can't even keep a quote unquote traditional type company, which would be kind of like a nation with like days off and t-shirts and all that stuff. I dabble and all that, whatever, but like I can't do it. So I know I'm
payroll,
I'm
taxes.
just right. So I'm just right.
Yeah.
We do draws.
Right.
So I know I'm tribal. But that helps me understand that when I go, maybe I'm hanging out with you guys, my job is not to try to be like match you nation to nation. Like I get you guys. Like, we're all doing the same thing. No, I'm respectful. I'm like, I can't believe what you guys are doing, because you guys are nation building, right? And then when you introduce me to person X over here, and you're like, oh, they're from the empire.
Yeah.
You don't flex like you're the empire or you're a nation.
Right.
You got to know, hey, I'm tribal, but you know what? My little tribal group may be of some benefit.
Can bring a little value to the empire.
That's all we're looking for.
Well, Danielle, look at what you start. She sits down, she presses the record button, and here we are in a podcast.
I said, hey guys, come take a seat.
Yes, well, there you go. Your work here is done. Darren, Danielle, thank you for spending some time with ASOTU Con Sessions by Effectv. Watch this be our most downloaded episode.
Tribe Nation Empire,
Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to this ASOTU Con Session by Effectv. If you want more content like this, you can check out our other podcasts. We have a daily show called The Automotive Troublemaker, Monday through Friday. Here on podcasts, also live streamed on YouTube and LinkedIn and Facebook. We also have a long-form podcast called Auto Collabs. And if you just want to go a little deeper into this community, you should sign up for our regular email. We put our heart and soul into it. You can get it for free by going to asotu.com. We'll see you next time.